Hello, and welcome to this somatic yoga practice to build strength, trust, and connection within yourself through movement, through trusting our body. So I've had a number of questions recently about what somatic yoga is, and really somatic yoga is the practice of tuning in to our body, the internal sensations in our body, our experience that we're having in this moment, in this breath, and tuning in at a deeper level. Yoga, we are already being mindful of our mindset, of our breath, of our body movement, but somatic yoga is really tapping in and tuning into the internal experience of the movement, of the practice, of the asana, of the breath, focusing on how it actually feels deep within our being, not just in the surface of our muscles, right? How it feels energetically and emotionally, tapping into that level of embodiment. So I'm super excited today. My name is Kelsey Holmes. I am a certified yoga instructor. I am a life and mindset coach, and I empower badass growth-seeking women to truly own their magic, their magnetism, and their badassery so that they can create and live a life that lights them the fuck up from the inside out using somatic embodiment practices. So today, let's go ahead and dive in. Roll out your mat, grab your water. If you have a yoga block or a blanket or pillow handy, grab that. That'll just make your movement more enjoyable for you. I highly encourage the use of props throughout the practice so that they can give you a different idea, interpretation, understanding of how you're feeling in this pose. Maybe it's a pose you've done 100 times, but you've never done it with a block in this way. That invites a different sensation. It invites a different awareness into your being. So if you have some props, have them handy, and let's meet on the mat. Maybe take a sip of water. So we'll meet today in child's pose. This is a strength, trust, and connection practice. So this is a practice that we're going to move a little bit quicker. We're going to get a little bit of heat building and work on that kind of slow, intentional burn. So as we meet today in child's pose, I encourage you to find a child's pose that feels delicious in your body, as in like, yes, this is what I've been craving all day long. So maybe, for example, for me, it feels really good to bring my big toes to touch my knees wide on the mat. Maybe it would feel good for you to bring your knees together on the mat. You can reach your arms long on the mat, extending through all 10 fingertips, maybe wiggling your fingers, noticing how the sensation of the pads of the fingers feels on your mat in front of you or on the floor in front of you. Maybe your heart melts down towards the mat. You can connect your forehead to the mat on your third eye, or maybe it would feel good today to bring a block underneath your forehead. Maybe a blanket or a pillow, especially if your hips are tight. If your hips are feeling really tight, another really wonderful thing to do, you can bring a pillow, a bolster, or a blanket underneath your seat or between your knees to relieve just a little bit of hip tension. So take a moment to find a position here in child's pose that feels good for you in your body. Another option with the arms, you can reach your arms back to cup the heels, feeling grounded, allowing yourself to arrive here on your mat, knowing that you can wiggle or shift at any point. And just notice here, maybe you find a little bit of stillness, softening into this child's pose. Notice here what sensations you're feeling in your body. Not with a judgment of right, wrong, good, or bad, just allow yourself to notice what's present. What is maybe a hot spot that you're feeling right now? Notice how your hips are feeling. Maybe how your knees are feeling. And as you notice the different sensations in your body, maybe you intuitively desire to shift your weight a little bit or rearrange how your legs or arms are. Take a moment to ask yourself, if you could enjoy this child's pose just a little bit more, what tiny micro adjustment could you make in your body to enjoy this pose a little bit more? When we're asking ourselves these questions, these exploration, these curiosity questions, our mind can't help but answer them. And when we gift ourselves what we desire, what would make this child's pose just a little bit juicier, we're actually building our inner self-assurance and our self-trust by asking for what we need and then giving it to ourselves in that moment. We are practicing reciprocal energy within that subtle, minute question to ourselves. Take a couple more rounds of breath through this child's pose to enjoy being here, to have appreciation for yourself and your body as you've met yourself on the mat for this time with yourself today. And then we'll begin to reach the hands long on the mat. Maybe it would feel good to gently deepen your inhale and your exhale. Notice how engaging in your shoulders, reaching with your fingertips, deepening your inhale and exhale changes the sensation here in this child's pose. Noticing what's different, becoming aware of the sensations in your body, and remembering that if anything that I'm offering today is not serving you and your body, please skip, modify, or adjust so that it feels good for you. That is the point of this somatic yoga practice, is to listen to your body, what you need in this moment, and then deliver it to yourself. This, once again, builds our self-trust. So as you reach your hands long on the mat, we're going to slowly round the spine and we're going to find a tabletop position. We'll draw the knees underneath the hips, allowing ourselves to find our alignment first, and then we'll explore and play outside of that alignment. So you can draw your wrists underneath your shoulders, spread your fingers wide, press down into all 10 fingertips as your knees draw underneath your hips. Draw the navel lovingly with appreciation in towards your spine to engage through your core. Notice how your back feels supported with your navel drawn in towards your core. Or your core engaged, excuse me. If you're not sure your core is engaged, press the tops of the feet down into the mat, maybe so much so that the knees hover above the mat. You'll feel your core light up there. You can release the tops of the feet, but continue to draw your navel in towards the spine. From this place of core engagement, as we're building strength in our core, supporting ourselves, supporting our low back, from this place of core engagement, we're going to flow through our cat and cow. You can already see me wiggling around on the mat. You can gently maybe allow the tailbone and gaze to lift on an inhale and begin to slowly round the spine on the exhale, tucking the chin to the chest. And through this movement, through these movements, notice what it feels like to keep your core engaged. So to intentionally ignite your core, gently and lovingly squeezing the navel in towards the spine. Maybe you'd like to find a little extra movement through here, shifting the hips side to side. And as you explore this movement, notice how vastly different this movement might feel intentionally engaging through your core. You know, for me, for many years of my yoga practice, the core was not engaged. And once I figured out and understood and could feel it in my body how different poses, postures, my practice felt with my core engaged, everything changed. Balance got better, I got stronger, my low back pain went away, my shoulder pain went away, and I attribute a lot of that to the core work that I've done. So something as simple as cat and cow with our core engaged is going to help us actually build that strength for our low back, for ourselves, for our body. Take just 2 more rounds of breath to explore through your cat and cow, continuing to engage through your core. And then take a moment to pause in a neutral tabletop and just soften your core. Notice how different this feels. Maybe you even feel a little pinch in your low back because all of a sudden your hips went forward and your low back feels pinched a little bit. When we draw the navel lovingly in towards the spine, it actually naturally sends the tailbone back towards the back wall. And that's where we're going to have that core engagement. So as we continue to engage our core, we'll walk our hands slightly in front of where they are as we shift ourselves forward to a low plank. On your next exhale, slowly and controlled, lower all the way down. Notice how this sensation feels as your elbows touch the rib cage, untucking the toes. We're gonna find a little cobra flow. So we'll bring the hands to a 45-degree angle in front of us, tent the fingers on the fingertips, and on your next inhale, slowly press into the fingertips as you engage through the back body. Tops of the feet can press down. Once again, that's going to ignite the core. If you press the tops of the feet down, tuck the pubic bone down towards the mat. Exhale to slowly release. Inhale, baby cobra. And exhale, release. Now take a moment from this place of core engagement to intentionally feel in through this flow of baby cobra. Keeping the core engaged to protect the low back. Maybe it would feel good to gently shift side to side, or maybe look left to right. Find a slow flow with your breath for 2 more rounds of this baby cobra. Notice how it feels intentionally engaging through the core. Maybe that means you don't come up quite as high in your baby cobra. Maybe it means just a very subtle little back bend. And from here, we'll plant the hands next to the rib cage. Bending at the knees, we're gonna sink the hips back, allow the toes to tuck under. Tucking all 10 toes under, take a moment to sink the hips back towards the heels and gently shift the hips side to side. This is opening through the plantar fascia or the tough connective tissue through the soles of the feet. And on your next inhale, actively press down into all 10 fingertips, finding your way to downward facing dog. And as you land in downward facing dog, take a moment to settle in here, finding some wiggles, finding some movement to begin. Perhaps you bend both knees side to side, gently shifting the weight side to side. Maybe you bend both knees deeply, allowing the sits bone and tailbone to reach up towards the ceiling, finding length in your spine. Maybe it would feel good to shake your head yes or no. You can allow the crown of the head to gently soften. Maybe it would feel good to take the feet wide on the mat and notice how that changes your downward facing dog or the pedaling sensation. You can walk your feet back towards the center of the mat, actively pressing down into all 10 fingertips. Take a moment to notice what your core is doing. Drawing lovingly the navel in towards the spine with so much appreciation for our core that keeps us upright, that keeps us invigorated and safe to enjoy life. From here, our next inhale slowly draws us forward to high plank. And as you exhale, bend the knees deeply, shift back, and then send the hips high. Inhale, you can round the spine all the way forward to low or high plank. As you exhale, bend the knees deeply, shift back, send the hips high. Continue to flow this, inhaling forward, exhaling to bend and shift the hips back. Notice this slow flow using your entire breath for this movement. Notice how this feels. Maybe it feels a little shaky. Maybe you feel strong today. Maybe it's somewhere in between really shaky and kind of strong. Whatever it is, allowing yourself to meet yourself where you're at today. Remembering that our wobbles, our shakes, we're actually building strength within ourselves and for both on the mat and off the mat. Eventually find stillness in downward facing dog. Notice how this down dog feels different than a moment ago. Breathe. Perhaps you notice something here about your breath that you haven't noticed before. On your next inhale, lift your right heel towards the ceiling. Squeeze through the glutes as you slowly begin to stack the right hip on top of the left. You can allow the right heel to fall back, bending at the knee towards the glute. Maybe you'd like to draw little circles with your right knee. Inhale, reaching the leg high for three-legged dog. And as you exhale, draw the knee towards the nose, step the foot between the hands. We're gonna find crescent lunge. So as you press into the front foot, draw the hands to the hips to begin. For a little bit of awareness here in our body, we're gonna draw our hands to our hips and give ourselves a gentle self-adjustment. So take your right hand to the front of your pelvis and your left hand to the sacrum and gently tuck your tailbone by drawing your navel in towards the spine. So it's a very subtle motion as you tuck the tailbone, drawing the navel towards the spine. You're gonna feel more opening through the left hip flexors on the front of the left hip, through the psoas, as well as the top of the quads, and then into the adductors on the inside of the thigh. From here, you can keep your hands on your hips, or if it's feeling a little bit wobbly, heel toe your your right foot off to the right side, so that your right foot's on the right side of the mat, the left foot's on the left side of the mat. And then notice how the wobbles feel. Maybe you're feeling really strong. Maybe you'd like to reach your hands overhead, allowing your shoulders to soften away from the ears, but allowing your heart to gently lift. Take a moment to feel into this. Feeling the slow burn build. Maybe the wobble's building. Knowing you can bring your hands down to your hips at any point, or lower the back knee for low lunge at any point as well. Remembering to listen to your body, what you need in this moment. Adding on to our slow burn here, we're gonna slowly reach our left hand forward, right hand sweeps back. Gaze can be forward. Maybe it's off to the side. Maybe it's back towards your right thumb or fingers. Notice how this subtle twist in our upper body changes this crescent lunge. Notice what your hips did. Is your tailbone still tucked? Notice what thoughts are arising. Maybe you're just trying to itch out of this. Allow yourself to be with the wobbles, be with the discomfort, remembering that this is what builds strength within ourselves. For life, for business, for relationships. This wobble, this burn, this is what builds our strength, both physically and emotionally. On your next inhale, sweep both hands high. And as you exhale, warrior two. Take a moment to rearrange your feet, finding heel to arch alignment with your front heel and your back arch. Allowing yourself to find our foundations of our alignment and then explore from there. So we'll tuck our tailbone as we stack both shoulders directly over our hips. Check in to make sure you can see the big toe on the inside of the front knee. You can reach your right hand forward, the left hand sweeps back. Pause. Breathe. Maybe you smile a little. You made it to your yoga mat. Where can you soften? Maybe that's your thoughts. Maybe your jaw or your eyebrows. Where are you so grateful in your body for at this moment in time? Where do you feel strong in your body in this moment in time? One more breath here. On your next exhale, slowly straighten your front leg. And then we'll find Trikonasana as we reach our right hand forward. Release the right hand down to the shin, the block, or the mat. As the left hand reaches high. This is, again, where you might want a block to bring the mat up to you. And take a moment here to pause. Staying engaged through the core. Maybe it would feel good to explore opening your left arm backwards just a little, opening through the heart just a little bit more. Or maybe you'd like to draw circles with your left arm. Drawing big, giant circles with your left arm, rotating through your entire shoulder socket. Staying engaged through the legs, through the core still. One more round the other way. If you're taking the circles. Noticing how the different directions feel different in your shoulder. On your next inhale, slowly draw yourself back through center. Excuse me, and as you exhale, windmill the hands down to the mat. From here, pivoting on the back toes to find a runner's lunge, we'll plant the left hand on the inside of the right foot. Begin to reach your right hand high. You can gaze up towards your right fingers if it's comfortable on your neck. Maybe you'd like to reach your right hand back just a little further. Notice how your hips feel. Notice how your legs feel. Always an option to drop the back knee. Breathe. As you exhale, release the right hand back down to the mat and step the right foot back to high plank. Take a moment, pause. From here, you can find a chaturanga, knees, chest, chin, or skip everything and meet in a downward facing dog. Remembering that this is your yoga practice, listening to your body and what it needs in this moment. Inhaling to upward facing dog or baby cobra, and exhale, press yourself back to downward facing dog if you're not there already. Pause, notice what's different, what feels the same. Notice how this down dog feels different than the very first one of practice. Notice how your breath feels different. Notice what thoughts in your head are different. On your next inhale, sweep your left heel high, squeeze through your glutes. And as you exhale, bend the left knee. You can stack the left hip on top of the right. Maybe it would feel delicious to you to gently roll circles. Inhale, the leg back through center. And as you exhale, slowly draw the knee towards the nose. Squeeze through the core as you step the left foot forward. We're going to find our crescent lunge. As you press into the front foot, draw your hands to your hips. From here, we're going to take that same adjustment in our hips. We'll take one hand to the front and one hand to the back and just subtly tuck the tailbone by drawing the navel in towards the spine, engaging through your core to open through the hip flexors on the right side just a bit more. We're getting deep into the psoas muscle. And when our hip flexors are really tight from sitting all day, it can create all sorts of low back issues. From here, notice perhaps how this side feels versus the first side. Maybe you'd like to heel toe the left foot to the left side again if you're feeling wobbly at all. Maybe you notice a little bit of shaking in your ankles. They've been working hard for a little while now. You can stay right here with your hands on your hips, or if it would feel good for you to explore, you can reach your hands high. Maybe you shift the shoulders side to side as your heart shines forward. Breathe. Notice how your breath feels different on this side versus the first side. The tiniest difference, allowing yourself to be fully present here with the sensations now. Remembering that all of these sensations are a gift to experience, even if it feels wobbly, burny, or hard. We grow from the challenging things. The wind in life makes us stronger. Adding on for our twist, we'll reach our right hand forward, the left hand reaches back, finding a gentle twist. Your drishti or gaze can be straight forward, off to the side, or perhaps it's over the left shoulder. Still actively pressing off the back toes. Notice how this twist changes everything. Maybe you feel a little more wobbly. Maybe you actually feel stronger in the twist. Without judgment, just allow yourself to be present and aware here and now. On your next inhale, both hands find their way back through center. And as you exhale, warrior two. So you can draw your hands to your heart as you rearrange your feet with the front heel and the back arch on a single tightrope or one straight line. Take a moment once again to tuck the tailbone by drawing the navel in towards the spine, still staying engaged through the core. As you bend into the front knee, checking to make sure you can see the big toe on the inside of the right knee, left knee. As you reach the left hand forward, right hand reaches back. Soften your shoulders. Feel the expansiveness, feel the openness. Or notice what you do feel here. What emotion is coming up here? Breathe. Allow yourself to notice with curiosity and love what's coming up here. Without judgment. Allowing yourself to be here now. On your next exhale, begin to straighten the front knee, preparing for Trikonasana. We'll reach the left hand as far forward as you can, and then release the left hand to the block, the shin, or the mat. Once again, staying engaged through the core. Your hand can land lightly on the calf, or the shin, or the block, as your right hand sweeps skyward. Maybe it would feel good to explore with your right arm, reaching it back. Maybe drawing big circles like you did on the other side. Whether you're finding movement or stillness, staying engaged through the core, switching directions by lovingly drawing the navel in towards the spine. Reaching the right hand up. One more breath here. On your next inhale, engage through the core, draw yourself back through center, and we'll windmill the hands down to the mat. Pivot onto the back toes, down to runner's lunge. As you plant the right hand on the mat or a block, begin to sweep your left hand high, finding a runner's lunge twist. If it would feel good for you, maybe reach your left hand back a little bit further. Maybe you'd like to drop the back knee. Wherever you're at, allow yourself to be present. Notice the sensations. Breathe. As you exhale, release the left hand down to the mat. You can step the left foot back and either move through knees, chest, chin, chaturanga, or skip everything and meet in a downward facing dog. Asking yourself what you need in this moment in your body, and then delivering it to yourself. As you meet in downward facing dog, either in stillness or in movement, take note how you feel in this moment. Take note of how strong you feel. Take note of how many times you've listened to yourself during this practice and gifted yourself the intuitive movement nudge that you inquired for. On your next exhale, release the knees down to the mat and swing around to your bum. We'll reach our hands long and slowly release down to your back. Notice how delightful it feels to surrender down to your back, feeling your muscles having moved you through this practice. Maybe it would feel good to hug your knees into the chest and just gently rock side to side. Hands can be on top of the knees, or maybe you'd like to bear hug. take a moment to find any final little movements or postures that would make your practice feel complete today. Remembering that when we ask ourselves what we need and we actually deliver it to ourselves, not only does it feel delightful in the moment, but that's building the trust in ourselves, our own self-assurance. And what we practice on the mat carries over into our life. When we ask ourselves what we need and we actually deliver it to ourselves in our life, magic ensues. From here, you can allow the legs to come long on the mat. Toes can fall wide. Maybe you shift the hips up and down or side to side. Maybe just gentle little wiggles as you tuck your shoulders underneath. Intentionally decide if you would like to cultivate more grounding energy. Place your palms face down on your belly or the mat. If you'd like to create more receiving energy, place your palms face up. Allow your jaw to soften. Allow your eyebrows to relax. As you allow yourself, with appreciation and as you allow yourself with appreciation to yourself to fully surrender here, feeling completely supported by your mat. Begin to draw your awareness back to your breath. Feel into your toes and fingers. Maybe gently wiggling them. Perhaps you reach your arms overhead, extending full body fingertip to toe tip, as though you're just waking up this morning. Yawn. Let it out with a sigh. You can hug your knees into the chest. Take this moment to be so grateful for yourself, your strong, capable, strengthening body. Giving yourself a gentle hug with so much appreciation. From here, you can gently rock up to a comfortable seat. And take a moment to just close your eyes as you find a comfortable seat. Notice how you feel in this moment. What's the first word that comes to your mind? Allow yourself to be present with it, without judgment, but with appreciation for your heart and your body for sharing this emotion, this feeling with you. When we practice feeling our feelings here on the mat, it empowers us to be present with our feelings out in life, which empowers us to lead a more intentional, intuitive, and soul-led life. On your next inhale, sweep both hands out and up. And as you exhale, slowly draw your hands and the energy that you've cultivated here today down to your heart. Thank you so much for sharing your light and your practice with me today. I appreciate you so much. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, share with a friend. I appreciate you. And in love, light, and so much gratitude. Have a beautiful rest of your day.